Hello, brilliant minds. Welcome to another episode of Have You Ever with Renee. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about have you ever dealt with obsessive thoughts that are negative, or as the professional world likes to call it, rumination? Well, if so, hang tight, and we're going to talk about what it is, what are some of the causes, and some strategies to hopefully help you get through it or manage those thoughts a little bit better. We're going to start this conversation off by talking about what is rumination. Rumination is a single thought or a string of thoughts that continue to circle in your mind. It is the process of thinking continuously about the same things, and these things usually tend to be sad or dark in nature. So you might be thinking, okay, so I'm thinking about the same things over and over in my head. What's wrong with that? Maybe I want to think about them. Maybe you do. But did you know that ruminating is bad for your mental health? And the reasons why is because when we think about these obsessive negative thoughts in our mind over and over, it tends to prolong or intensify depression. It also impairs your ability to think or process emotions. So maybe you don't see no reasons to think about these same things over and over in your head, but think about the consequences and the impact that it's having on your mental state. So let's get into why people tend to ruminate. I am only going to touch on some main reasons. There are definitely more than this, but I'm just giving an overview. So some of the main causes of why people tend to have these negative, obsessive thoughts in their minds is because people think that ruminating will give them better insight about their problem or their situation. That may or may not be true. Keep in mind, thinking about it for too long, especially if it's negative, is bad for your mental health. Another reason, common reason, why people tend to ruminate is because they have a history of emotional trauma. That is something that can be very difficult to get past, and those thoughts tend to linger longer than they should. In that case, help is necessary. Another reason why people tend to ruminate is because they're facing ongoing stressors that are out of their control, and they're trying to see, how can I get past this? Well, worrying yourself to death is not helping at all either. Rumination, it tends to be common in people with certain personality characteristics, such as people who strive for perfection, or, believe it or not, people who are excessively focused on valuing relationships with others, and they're making these huge personal sacrifices to maintain these relationships, even if these sacrifices are not reciprocated by the other individual or individuals. It can be difficult to break the cycle of ruminating thoughts at times. So I'm going to go into ways that can help you to avoid them or manage them better. We're going to start with our first one, our first way. Something that you can do is to distract yourself. Distract yourself by finding something that is going to refocus those thoughts for you. You can do this by calling someone, doing some busy work around the house, watching a movie, or reading a book. Something that is going to take your mind of thinking about those negative thoughts in your head. Another tactic that can be used when someone is ruminating is questioning those thoughts. People often ruminate after having traumatic events, especially when they feel responsible. It may be helpful to kind of refocus those thoughts to how those thoughts are making you feel rather than the actual thoughts themselves, which is the thoughts of blaming yourself. So questioning those thoughts can be very helpful. Another way that we can manage or avoid rumination is by readjusting our life goals. Remember, I mentioned how people who strive for perfection, they tend to ruminate. Well, perfectionism and creating unrealistic goals can lead to rumination because you begin to focus on how or why you can't achieve the goal that you set. It's important to set realistic goals in our life to reduce that pattern of having these thoughts in our minds. Now, does that mean to not strive and aim high? No, not at all. All that means is that we are adjusting our goals to something that is obtainable and then working our way up. So you're not by any means giving up on yourself. Another way to manage these ruminating thoughts in our minds is to work on improving self-esteem. Believe it or not, sometimes people with low self-esteem report a tendency to overthink. And this only leads to depression. Improving that self-esteem by building on your existing strengths, it creates a sense of mastery and it improves your self-esteem in the process, reducing depression, which also eliminates or reduces those repetitive thoughts that we want to get rid of. Another way that we can reduce these or avoid these obsessive negative thoughts is we want to try meditation. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go out, find a yoga studio or meditation studio and pay out a lot of money. Find you a quiet space in your home, sit down, and then just do some deep breathing exercises. Make sure that you're not focusing on anything but your breathing. If you're someone who works better with guided meditation, there are apps out there, there's YouTube videos that can help you with this. Another way to reduce our repetitive negative thoughts is learning what the triggers are. What are the things that are causing these thoughts to pop up in our head? Once you learn what those triggers are, you want to develop ways to avoid or manage them so that the ruminating thoughts will decrease or stop altogether. Another way, and I really like this way, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this one because it's important. Talking to a friend. Talking to a friend can be helpful. You want somebody who's going to give you some insight and some perspective about your situation. However, you do not want somebody who's going to sit there and engage in the rumination with you. You want somebody who's going to guide you in the right direction. So talking to a friend can be beneficial. At the same time, it can also hurt you. So be careful who you choose to talk to when you're trying to get rid of certain thoughts that you're having. And then the last strategy that is on my list is consider therapy. Therapy can be very beneficial, and One of the ways that therapy can be beneficial is because having a therapist work with you about these ruminating thoughts, that therapist will help you identify why you're having these thoughts and provide you with insight about the core of your problem. Usually, when people get to the core of their problem, they're able to manage those thoughts a lot better. So, therapy is always a very good option. And that is our video for today. If you found this video to be informative, I would appreciate it if you gave me a thumbs up. You can also share this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification button because I will be uploading more Have You Ever informational videos later on. In the meantime, stay blessed.